Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of Argo Sports Insider. I'm your host, Will Kennedy. This is Coach Jeff Burkhammer, UWF men's basketball coach. We'll start on the court here in the Fieldhouse this week. Not where you guys played this week because it was road trip time, and started off with a fantastic win over Union. You went on the road. It was a matchup, really, kind of, to see who could kind of claim first place, and you guys went out and got a nice win. Dan Sofield, a huge game. Yeah, Dan had another really good game. Hit a couple big shots late in the game, 2 threes, and a post-up jump hook that he's kind of added to his repertoire. But yeah, it was a heck of a win against a good team on the road. We've actually played well at Union in the past, and went in there. Didn't play a great first half. I didn't think either team played a great first half. And second half came out, got a little bit of a lead, and really played pretty well down the stretch. What did you kind of find out in a matchup like that? At this point of the season, about halfway through, when you're playing that type of opponent? Well, they're number one in the league going in, and we were right behind them, so we knew it would be a good matchup. They've got good players. With the one guard they have will be a candidate for Player of the Year. They got a couple big kids that are athletic and can do a variety of things. They can step out and shoot. They can post up. So we knew it was going to be a challenging game, and it was. From start to finish, it was a challenge. But it was nice to see us find a way to win on the road against a good team. Rebounding, I know, is one thing you always preach, and you guys win that rebounding battle. And as we mentioned, Dan Sofield, 22 points, so a big game for him. It is tough. You mentioned this is one of the longest road trips that you'll do. Then you turn around and go to Christian Brothers on Saturday, and it ended up being a dogfight at the end. But I know it's a tough loss to take. Well, it was a hard game, and from the time we finished the game with Union to the time we started the game at CBU, I talked about the physicality of this game and how tough they played. They didn't have, I don't think, great players, but they have a team that plays really, really hard. And we knew that was something we would have to battle. The way the game was officiated favored them a little bit. They let it be very physical. They didn't call a whole lot. And we didn't handle it real well. And they out-rebounded us and really whipped us on the glass, which was a little bit frustrating and something we'll work out this week. In that game, they obviously, Dan didn't have the kind of game he did against Union. Was that something where they were looking to take him away from you a little bit and you needed other people to step up? They were so close to him, I thought they were dating at times. They didn't leave him. They just stayed with him. If he went somewhere, they grabbed him and held him. And it's hard to get open sometimes when that's happening. We call that the Glenn Close defense. Yes. People who've seen the movie know what I'm talking about. Wendell Matthews steps up and has a good game in that game, though. Latrell Tate as well. We've talked about that through the year. When teams are looking to do that to Dan, you've got guys that can up their game or their scoring output a little bit. We've had different guys, pretty much throughout the year. It's usually Daniel and somebody else or one or two guys. And in this game, it was Wendell and Latrell. Latrell made some big shots late in the game to kind of keep us in it. But we just didn't guard well enough, and we didn't rebound well enough to find a way to win that game. And the back-to-backs like that, or, within 2 games in 3 days can be a little bit tough. This week's a little bit different for you guys. You come back home, you got a little time off before your second meeting where you'll go on the road and take on a tough Valdosta team. Well, that road trip is tough. It's just so far, and you play a big game on Thursday night. You go to an opponent that's down further in the league, and you maybe don't get quite as excited. You're a little bit more tired. All those things go into play. Now we get to come home and take a couple days off. And then we'll come back and practice 3 or 4 days and go on the road and play probably in the best environment in the league when you go to Valdosta. What do you do, with a week like this? You mentioned a little time off, obviously midway through the season, rest some people up, try to get healthy a little bit. What, from a coaching standpoint, now that you've seen the body of work that you've seen, do you work on this week? Well, we start playing the second round. So we'll add some things now. We may add some sets. We may change some things up that we're doing defensively. You don't want to play the same way maybe all the time, especially when you're starting to play teams the second time. So we'll change a couple things. We'll add a few things and kind of see how that will help us. Valdosta, as we mentioned, on the 29th on a Saturday, and then it's back home again, and the kind of reverse of a trip you guys took right around New Year. Yeah. You get West Owl coming in, you get Huntsville coming in, 2 teams that are always tough to play. That's going to be big here at home. Well, credit to our guys is we've played a lot of road games. We played a lot of road games in the early season, non-conference, and we had a lot of early conference games on the road. So it's going to come back around to us. I think we have 4 of our last 6 at home, and we've been pretty good here in the Fieldhouse. So it'd be nice to get back home and play. Feels like back half is the way you're kind of talking that depth that you guys have, the ability to play 8, 9, 10 guys could be a big payoff in the back half. Well, it's been a payoff already, and I think it will help us late, especially if you have injuries, you have foul trouble, all those things come into play. And our bench has been good, and our bench needs to continue to help us when they come in the game. Well, Coach, go grab a win at Valdosta, and we'll talk to you next week. Sounds great.
Real change occurs in that split second, a moment of connection among people.
With a common purpose,
a shared vision,
and a unified goal. What will you change?
What will change you? The University of West Florida. No limits.
What does Argo Spirit look like? Is it finding the perfect Argo outfit to show your team pride? Is it giving back while getting your pre-game grub? Or is it connecting with your community in the perfect spot? At Penn Air Federal Credit Union, it's being a proud sponsor of UWF Education, the Alumni Association, athletics, Penn Air Field, and having a spirit of communerosity. Learn more at pennair.org/aboutus.
We are looking at conference lineups and what we're going to do. So we did mix a little bit in with different strokes and different events. So I think that gave us a little bit more information on how we should move forward. But really, I learned that the girls can compete by being tired and sore. We didn't rest or anything going to the meet, and we had some people drop sometimes just to go lifetime bests, and that's always nice to see, of course. Sort of like going into a basketball game and somebody unexpected drops 20, or gets a double or triple double. So it's nice to see that. And then also got to learn on the people who didn't have quite such a good meet, like what was going on with them and how can we make them better going into conference. So we have about 3 weeks left, so we're down to nitty gritty now. Well, we still got another week and a half or so of hard work, and then we'll start resting a little bit. And for swimmers, we taper. So basically we pull back some of the yardage, some of the work. It's not that much shorter, really. It's not like we drop an hour off of practice, but we just take more time in those practices to get done what we need to do. Really focus back in on technique. And then, of course, toward the end, like the last week or so, we're definitely pulling back yardage a lot, living them rest, and we sort of do a little rotation in our capacities in different training cycles. So, but we try to be, we don't miss a lot of meets, so we try to be like kind to them, I guess, if you will, or we try to be conscientious about what we're doing so that they have time to do it. And I think we're pretty forgiving if somebody has a big project or big test. We give them a little bit of time or say, hey, why don't you come in a little bit different time, that kind of stuff, so that we're working with them so that they can be successful. Other than that, it's all on them. We luckily are blessed to recruit some smart girls and good athletes and just good girls all together.
Hello, I'm Zach Pullman. I'm a graduate assistant here at the University of West Florida, and I work in athletic communications. When I found out that I received the Bright Future Scholarship, I knew this would take a burden off of my family and kind of help me through college. Given the opportunity to pay for my complete undergraduate degree, I did not have to worry about student debt, so I was able to continue my journey of education. Just want to thank the Florida Lottery for not only helping me through my college journey, but countless others in the state of Florida and all they do to help education within the state.
Look at that. That's called a takes two hands burger. Fresh 100% beef stacked high with melted cheese, hand-chopped veggies, and everything else you could possibly ask for. Yep, that's your Whataburger, made exactly the way you want it. Because sometimes, you gotta take matters into your own hands. What a burger, just like you like it.
For those who sweat in determined pursuit, and those who meet the morning with a firm handshake and a smile, and breathe between stages of unwavering effort. Andrews Institute, for those who move.
Time to talk some women's basketball now. Coach Stephanie Lawrence-Yelton joins us, and her team coming off. It was a tough road trip to go up to Tennessee, and I know you guys are rolling along and things are going well. Setbacks happen in life, so I always like to ask coaches, what do you learn? What does the team learn from, you go to Union to start with, a good basketball team, and I know that was a tough night. We'll start there.
Yeah, at Union on Thursday night, very good basketball team. They're the number one team in our region. They're ranked in the top 25 in the country, and they've been there all season long. And we played a great first quarter with them, and then hung around in the second quarter, had a little bit of a scoring drought in that second quarter, went into halftime, regrouped, and we come out, played superb defense, but we just could not throw that ball in the ocean. I mean, our good open looks, we could not knock those down, and then of course that makes the more difficult looks even harder when you don't have the confidence when those open ones are going in. So just a poor shooting night, for the majority of that game, and you can't do that against the number one team in the region and get away with it.
You know, and for some of your team, that's a first time through that trip and playing that type of team, you know, especially for some of the younger players. What do they pick up from a matchup like that?
Well, I think they see that's a measuring stick. Like, okay, we're not there yet. You know, there is a gap. And we've got 6-7 more weeks before you may face them again in a conference tournament if you're lucky enough to get there. And so we've got to make sure that we, you know, shrink that gap between us and them before we see them again.
You ever see the movie Major Leagues? Was it one of those nights where at halftime you're like, we got to get a bucket of fried chicken or something, make something happen right here? It's tough, I know, to bounce back from that on a Thursday night, especially away from home, and then to go into Christian Brothers. And that was a really tough game. You get a career high 27 from Zoe. Jacqueline chips in with 18, I think 17 from Charlotte, and you know, feel like this is a game we're going to win, get back on track. It ends up being a tight 74-70 loss.
Well, and that Saturday game was the very flip of what we went through on Thursday. You know, we didn't play great defense. Christian Brother was able to score, you know, 46% from the floor. They met their three-point shooting percentage. They met their three-pointers made in a game. And these are all stats that we're trying to have our opponents shoot less than. And they met all of their offensive goals against us. And then for us, we just didn't do it on our end. And we didn't shoot the ball well again. And we just, you know, shot it better than Thursday, but not enough to really allow your defense to let the other team just go off. And, you know, kudos to, you know, Christian Brothers. She's got a high-powered offense. They figured out how to do it. They fought back there in that fourth quarter. And, you know, a couple of plays just didn't go our way. A couple of calls didn't go our way. And, you know, that's how you lose by 4 on the road.
You were saying there was a lot of free throws for Christian Brothers.
A lot of free throws in the fourth quarter that we, you know, starting to reach and tug on them a little too much, and it just got away from us.
You guys are 13-4 now, 8-3 in the conference, so still sitting in a good spot. We'll talk about what's next in a second, but I want to let everybody know, if they don't follow the social media for women's basketball, you should. And then two, you guys do some cool stuff when you go on the road, and I know you look for these opportunities when you're playing places to go visit, you know, whether it's Civil Rights Museum or historic places around the country. It's more than just basketball with your team.
Yeah, we pride ourselves in providing an education for our players, not just on the basketball court, not just within a team environment, not just from a, you know, studying a book in a classroom, but we had the opportunity on that Friday between games to go to the National Civil Rights Museum. And for a lot of our players, it's the first time they'd ever stepped foot and actually got to stand inside of history. And so to see them kind of go through that museum, you know, read about what that means, you know, for minorities in our community and for people who are really challenging for civil rights, and how that movement all came to be, was an amazing few hours for our players. So they thoroughly enjoyed it. We like, as a coaching staff, to provide that opportunity for them, because I think that's part of the education that they'll take with them for the rest of their lives.
I have to ask about the half-court shots, too. If you haven't seen, like I mentioned with the social media, you guys, every time before a game, you're putting one up, somebody gets to hit one. Is it just whoever hits first?
It's just whoever hits first. And so there are some players that have hit more than others, and the team has kind of put that person to the back of the line. And so, yeah, but it's a fun thing that we do. Obviously, from a coaching standpoint, it gives me an idea of, if we're in that scenario at the end of the game, who might be able to throw that half-court one up? And for us, because we play quarters, that could happen 3 or 4 times, you know, in the course of a game. So, you know, it's a little bit of kind of education on my part, but it's fun for our players.
We've seen a few wild ones along the way. You guys this week step out of conference for a Tuesday game at Spring Hill, so that'll be an interesting matchup. And then Saturday, it's on the road at Valdosta.
Yeah, we've got a tough week, you know, and this is the first time that we've kind of played that non-conference game in the middle of our conference play this season. So it'll be interesting to go over to Spring Hill. Although it's a short trip, you're still on the road. You've still got to, you know, deal with that atmosphere. You know, they're a team that's fighting and scratching and clawing their way and trying to be better. And so, you know, we've got to bounce back from kind of those woes of this weekend and get things turned around. And then we've got, again, that tough opponent, the number 2 team in our league right now at Valdosta. This will be the only time we see Valdosta. Normally we get 2 chances at them. Our first chance at them here at home was canceled due to COVID. And so this will be our only time to get at them until, you know, you might see them in the conference tournament.
A little bit of a rivalry going there. And since we recorded our segment for the last show, more honors. Zoe Pillar gets a Freshman of the Week, and Jacqueline Jarnett a Player of the Week. So kudos to them as well.
Oh, man, they're playing great basketball right now. That duo, you know, that's the number 1 duo, front court duo in the country. And so we would be crazy not to give them the basketball. And so we just give it to them and see what they can produce and turn out. And it's been some really good basketball and fun to watch.
Well, Coach, good luck to you in both games this week. Get back on the winning track.
Thank you.